So, good afternoon, buenos dias, boa tarde, and bonjour. I think we have everyone from all over the place, usually Canada, the US, and Mexico, but I have someone in Italy right now. Jean-Michel, Josephine, you're our wonderful speaker today, family-run business, huh? And you're going to take us hiking in New Zealand. So, we are hoping to see. What do you have for us? Huh? So, Ahipara, the screen is all yours.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you very much. And hello again to everyone. I'm not going to be talking so much today, which will be a relief, but Josephine will. Josephine, apart from being my daughter, has got an interesting background. She got a master's in neuroscience with a 90% grade point average and secondment to UCLA, and
Bravo.
tried the corporate tech world, didn't like it, and became a hiking guide. So I thought she knows a lot more about hiking than I do. I normally look at the hiking from a helicopter
Mhm.
because I'm a bit more sedentary, let's say. And so I thought, let's bring Josephine on, who's been now working in the business with me on the marketing side of things and the operation side of things for about a year. But today she's going to be talking about hiking in New Zealand. So I'll be here at the end for photos and whatever, but over to you, Josephine.
Perfect.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm Josephine. I've got the authentic Kiwi accent. John Michelle's sort of straddling it with a bit of UK. So if you need me to slow down at any point, because in New Zealand we tend to get a little bit overexcited and talk fast.
Mhm.
So just let me know if it's getting a bit much there. Um, but yes, like Jean-Michel slash my boss slash my father said, I've been working in Ahipara for a little more than a year, and I mainly do a bit of marketing and also a bit of concierge. So working with the clients who are in country to try to give them the best trip possible. And on the side, I've spent a whole season full time hiking guiding, and now I just sort of keep my toes in there. And whenever I've got time, I like to pick up a shift here and there and
All
get
right.
away into the bush.
Yeah,
Um, so that's me. You don't really need to know anything else, and we'll get straight into the webinar of hiking in New Zealand.
perfect. Thank you very much.
That's going to move. This thing's not. There we go. I promise I'm tech savvy. Um, So these are our main talking points today. We're going to go through sort of the geography of New Zealand. I'm going to dive into a couple of regions that I can highlight there. We've got lots and lots of pretty pictures, a mix of stuff me and my friends have taken, as alongside some more classic marketing pictures. This one's one my sister took near Wanaka. So we're going to then jump into considerations when hiking in New Zealand. I realized that I didn't have anything about the seasons and when to travel this morning. So I've just added some notes about when's best to come here into this section. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Great Walks, which are some multi-day hikes that a few people might have heard of in New Zealand. Then our favorite ways and how we like to arrange hiking in New Zealand, and finally wrap up on a nice collaborative slide of how we can work together to make sure when your clients come to New Zealand, they have the best possible hiking experiences and other experiences that they can when they're here. So if any of you have been to one of Jean-Michel's webinars or talked to him before or looked at one of his videos before, you'll be sick of hearing about the size of New Zealand. But just in case there are people in here who haven't talked to Jean-Michel before, I'm going to essentially regurgitate some of what he says about it. We look very small. We're tucked down in the corner of the Pacific, right next to Australia, and we look tiny. We're not super tiny compared to something like the United States, of course we are, but we're about the length of the eastern seaboard of the United States or of Italy. And when people come and say they want to see the whole country, you're looking at about 16 hours of driving from the top to the bottom of the North Island and again in the South Island. We don't have huge highways, which for most people isn't their idea of a nice holiday. They want to get out and walk. They want to be able to stop in an area for a few days. And so if you're going to do all the way from the top to the bottom, we're talking months. So most people have to choose and prioritize a couple of bits of New Zealand. Other than that, up in the north, we've got our much more temperate area. We're in the southern hemisphere, so it's all flipped on its head. And so up here, you're talking very, very rare frosts, even in winter, almost tropical. It really is trying to force me through this presentation. I'm not clicking anything, but it'll speed me up. But yeah, and effectively, this here is the Southern Alps. So this is our main alpine area through the South Island. This is why a lot of people talk about the South Island as the scenic or as the hiking part of New Zealand. It doesn't have to be. There's a lot of really amazing scenery and hiking in the North Island too. So now we're going to jump into the, I've been pointing to the wrong screen, Southern Alps through there. We're going to jump into a zoom in. This is potentially the most famous region of New Zealand, this little box down here. We've got Queenstown, which hopefully a few people have heard of, and we've got Milford Sound, which is one of the iconic destinations. I live down here in Te Anau. I really should have muted my teams. And a lot of the stuff through here is also these amazing ridgelines. So we've just got a really small section of Te Anau here. And I'm going to actually stop sharing and get that muted right now so that it doesn't bother us through the rest of it.
Yes, no worry.
Because I can just see that becoming something that's going to throw me off.
Yeah, I can jump in while you're doing that a little bit. So yeah, talking about the geography, for us, north is hot and south is cold. So up in the far north is where the coastline is quite beautiful. So people into coastal hikes, into cliff tops, into beaches and so on. North is the good place to go. Our most famous hikes and the most beautiful hikes are the ones down south where Josephine was showing, around that Te Anau region. Ones such as the Milford Track, the Kepler Track, and so on. These are names that are known by hikers. And hiking, I would say, is probably the activity that is done by most of our clients. So almost everybody will do a hike at some point in New Zealand, whether it's oh, that looks better. Whether it's a short hike or a particularly long one. But I'll hand back over to Josephine because she does know more than me about it.
Okay, brilliant. So we've managed to get rid of those guys. And yeah, so this region we're going to zoom in on and we're going to look at a few pictures from within this region. So the first one is from near Queenstown. Here we're talking not too many trees, sort of very alpine-y environment and these amazing sort of views. So this is from a hike that's just accessible from within Queenstown. You head up, you walk out, and you make your way there. And yeah, pretty stunning. This is a picture from inside Milford Sound, very, very famous location, but this is actually from a trailhead in Milford. So you can do walking. A lot of people just get the van to Milford, take a pretty picture in front of Milford, go on a boat. But if you want to get a little bit closer to the landscape and get into that rainforest, there are walks that you can actually do within Milford Sound itself, that are some of my favorites to be in. And just to give an idea of what that West Coast rainforest is, there's this, which is again a favorite trail of mine. I just love this zone that you get into. These are all actually fuchsia. They're a type of tree. Now I'm getting all hiking guide on you. But they're a really large fuchsia. The moss grows on and it just drips down in these amazing, amazing scenes. And then we're jumping up into the North Island. So up here we're around Taupo, There's Rotorua up here, which you may have heard of as a tourism hotspot, and then a little bit less busy, but still sort of known, is around Taupo there. So here you're talking volcanic, and you're talking, again, a little bit less forested. So this is a picture from the Tongariro crossing. It is a grueling hike, this one. It's a day walk, but it is a day walk that would leave me with extremely sore quads, and I'm a trail runner. It's a day walk that we wouldn't recommend for a lot of people, and it's a really, really popular one, so it gets really, really busy. So a lot of people show up with something like this on their list, and it's not really the right decision for a lot of people. And this is just from an Instagram search of Tongariro Crossing that I've just gone and pulled a bunch of pictures. You will go up, you will work up a sweat, you will get an amazing picture of yourself in front of the Emerald Lakes, and if that's what you want on your trip, amazing. Like I would do this as well, but for most people with a limited time in New Zealand, these sorts of being the most unique you can find, or the least busy you can find images, is not their idea of a wilderness experience or what they're looking for when they go hiking. Coming across to this, which is one of our heli hikes that we do with some of our clients. Every time I move my mouse is what's doing it. This is strange. I've never experienced this before. But anyway, we'll keep going. So this is up on Mount Tarawera. People get a helicopter up here, and they're the only ones on this mountain getting to experience these volcanic landscapes by themselves. And then this is in that same region. What the heck? In that same region, a sort of lagoon wetland walk. This is a little 15-minute loop track that you could do from a road end. So then into the considerations for hiking in New Zealand, a lot of people really, really love to come here for a walk. A big factor is that you can do it barefoot if you want to. You don't have to worry about any of the spiders, snakes. There are no insects that will carry diseases. There are mosquitoes that will bite you and leave you itchy, but they're not going to give you malaria, which is a huge relief. And nothing out there that's trying to eat you either. So no dangerous carnivores. New Zealand naturally doesn't have any mammals based on the land, so all we've got is what was brought here by European settlers. So a really unique environment geographically, and the bird life is just amazing. That's not to say there are no dangers to hiking in New Zealand. We do have people, experienced hikers, as well as international travelers who do die in our backcountry every single year. So it's not to be just happy-go-lucky, run out there, there's nothing that's trying to kill you. All of our nights all the way through are quite cold. The weather can change like that. You can be out on a day like what's showing behind me, and then suddenly it turns into a stormy, snowy day. So it does need respect when you're out there. And then why I've got this map here is just to show just how sparsely populated New Zealand is. So these grey zones are basically nobody lives there. So fewer than one person per square kilometre. So when you've got the light blue, those are like the farming regions where you've got a couple of people per square kilometre. And these white zones are all these hugely remote areas, which is part of what makes our hiking so appealing. Cool. When to go? This is what I've just quickly added. March. It's the best time for hiking. It's when we've got fewer people in country. Usually the weather has stabilized, so you're not going to get rained on as often. I did add a little bit more there. October to November can be really amazing. There's still a lot of snow on the mountains, so it can look quite visually striking. And you can also walk up and see some snow, which is pretty good, but you do have much more turbulent weather through spring. So you might, get to Queenstown and then find out that there's been a recent storm and all the trails you wanted to go to are damaged and you're not allowed on them. So it's got those risks associated with it. December, January, weather, like people think they're coming in our summer, but the weather still hasn't quite settled down yet until right towards the end of January. There's still going to get a lot more rain coming through the country. And it's also when our school holidays are. So all of the families are on holiday for about 6 weeks. The country overall is a lot busier, both with international travelers and locals. February and April, quite good. They're on either side of March. Not too much bad to say about that. You'll get much hotter weather in February. As you get towards the end of April, you might start hitting into some track closures because through winter, a lot of our alpine zones, which are some of the favorites for hiking, are unsafe to go into because of the avalanche risk. But if you're interested in flat trails and amazing, beautiful forests, it's still a really valid thing to come in winter, and you can see those alpine zones by helicopter. It's just not so safe to be up there walking. Cool. Anything to add to that, Jean-Michel?
Nope, no, just keep rolling. You're on a nice roll.
Cool. Brilliant. Haven't had the slides running away from me for a minute or so. So heading into the New Zealand Great Walks, if you were to start researching hiking in New Zealand and go into your initial sort of lookups, this is what you'd probably find. They're a network of trails that are maintained by the New Zealand government and the Department of Conservation, which is sort of our governing body of the backcountry here in New Zealand. They're all really, really beautifully made to deliver a certain kind of experience. So it's a multi-day adventure with a reasonably comfortable hut in the middle of it, carrying all your own gear on a reasonably well-maintained trail. So it's sort of for people who want to get into that, what I think you call backpacking in the US, of carrying things around and going out for multi-day. They're really well marketed and they're really lovely. So there's some pictures. A couple of these are mine. I'm nervous to point to them because I don't want it to run away from me again. But the top left is one of mine. A few others are marketing pictures. The top two are from the North Island and the top of the South Island. It's still going to run away from me. And the bottom are all from around Fiordland. And you do get these incredible, incredible views while doing these walks, as long as the weather's right. But they're not necessarily for everybody. There's me. These are all my pictures because they're not what you want to market. These are all bunks, each of these panels. So you're in a bunk room with at least 20 other people. There's not really a way to lux it up. You can't do helicopter drops of food or belongings. You can't do private hosted stays. Guides would need a really special license to be able to go in and guide on these, which a lot of guides don't have. And you're carrying everything you're eating. So usually it's these dehydrated meals and whatever digestive consequences come with that. And finally, everybody's going from the same huts to the same huts. So you're going to see a lot of the same people constantly, and they're always full. They're really popular. So you'll always have about 100 people, depending on the size of the hut, between 40 and 100 people going from one hut to the next hut at roughly the same pace and timing as you're doing it. But ran away from me at the perfect time. So the New Zealand Great Walks, in summary, they are beautiful, they're accessible. If they're what you're looking for, they're amazing, but they are busy. They're also not flexible. If you hit it on a bad weather day, then you're just hitting it on a bad weather day. You can't go and book a hut for a different night. You can't move it around. It's going to take you 4 days to do it, which for most people who only have 10 days to 3 weeks to travel in New Zealand might not be how they want to spend 4 days out of their trip, plus a day on either side to get there. They're not private, they're not commissionable, and they're not unique in how beautiful they are. So all of these next pictures are taken off the Great Walks.
So if I can just jump in, the reason we mentioned them here is because often your clients will wander in and say, I've heard all about this really great walk and I want to go to New Zealand and do it. And you'll think, what is this? So we're just telling you what it is. They're quite beautiful, but they are fairly basic. in terms of accommodation, 3-star and inflexible. So we prefer different hiking, which is what Josephine's going to get onto now. Sorry, darling.
Yes, absolutely. And when he says basic 3-star, I think that's being quite generous to a sort of plastic mattress in a bunk room of 40 people. Like, they are comfortable. A lot of them have flushing toilets, but they're not gender separated flushing toilets. So they can be a little bit below 3-star for a lot of people. So yeah, coming into these, all but one of these images is accessible as a day walk. So this top one, yep, I can do it, is in the Upper North Island and is a heli hike that we do. So you heli in, go for a walk along a ridgeline like this. It'll have coastal views from up there as well, these incredible landscapes, heli back down. This is a mountain up in the North Island. This here is on a private station, like Heron Station. So you go and you stay there, and then you can just go for walks. You're the only one that'll be there.
Yeah, Lake Heron Station, as you can see, really, really beautiful. 100,000 acres of backcountry. You stay with the owners, so they've got a fairly sophisticated house, and they've done up the shearers' quarters nearby. You eat with them, you understand the rhythms and the life, and you understand how 3 people and 10 dogs can look after 100,000 acres. So we really like that sort of thing because you're connected to the people, connected to the land. And then she is she's an ex-lawyer and a hiking guide. So you go and walk with the owners who know what they're doing. That's the sort of thing we prefer, rather than the mass group hut to hut thing. Jojo, back to you.
Thank you. Some great context. And yeah, this one down here is in Fiordland, and this is on a multi-day trail. But again, just incredible. And this is that early springtime when I was talking about having that beauty of the snow on the mountains. So if you hit the right weather and the right days, it can just be absolutely outstanding. So yeah, this is getting into what Jean-Michel was just highlighting there, that we know and we tend to choose to use special hikes that your clients won't have found when they're looking it up on the internet, and they won't be coming to you going, I really want to go walking with the owners of Lake Heron Station on their own land, because it's just not out there as something they'd be able to find on their own. We also know and spend a lot of time with our hiking guides, and as is the case in a lot of industries, the people who are the best at being hiking guides and at being in the wilderness are often not the same as the people who are the best at marketing. So you're finding people who really put their focus on being in the backcountry instead of pushing their voice and their offerings out into the world. And lastly, we have a lot more flexibility built into these hikes. You can add other interests of your clients into it. You can get into some really amazing backcountry using helicopters. You can change the hike for people's different physical limitations. Or in the extreme cases, if you've got a really, really horrible weather day, you can slip the walk to a different day while you're in the same region as well. So a lot more flexibility.
Or go for a different hike as well.
Yeah.
So whatever works on that particular day. All of a sudden, by removing those clunky, great walks, we've got flexibility, and we can really adapt to weather very fast.
Yeah, which is a lot of what I've been doing this year in my concierge role. So just highlighting a few of those special ones. This here says private Māori land. The Māori are our indigenous population in New Zealand, so they're our First Nation. This is a piece of land owned by an iwi, or a Māori tribe, and managed by one of our friends, Tom Lachlan, who is a member of that iwi. And he's got a little hut there. He's a chef, he's an outdoorsman, he's a hunter, he's involved in the local search and rescue. And he loves taking our clients and going and picking them up from whatever amazing place they're staying and bringing them out to experience a slice of this land and understanding how he manages it and maintains it and what it means to the people who have it associated. And then when they finish their day with him, they can choose to come somewhere like like this, Hooker Lodge, about a 90-minute drive from this, or they can stay with him on that land in something a little bit more like this. So they've got that option for whatever they prefer. Some people really love staying out in the wilderness. Some people are much happier to go back to their cocktail and their hot shower at the end of the day. This one I put in there because a lot of people who really enjoy their hiking and tramping might have done something like a Camino in Europe. They might love it, but they're really, really fixated on the idea of a comfortable hut-to-hut or lodge-to-lodge journey, where they're carrying mainly day stuff or maybe a little light pack, and they're able to stay in comfort every night. And most of the time that's simply not possible in our backcountry because of how isolated it is. There's no amount of money you can pay to stay on someone's couch in the middle of a national park because there is no couch in the middle of that national park. So this is an exception to that rule. This is set up really nicely as a lodge-to-lodge hike in the Fiordland National Park. You're cooked for at each lodge. You carry a little bit of your gear, but there's also a jet boat ride incorporated that takes your gear a lot of the way. And you finish with a heli trip into Milford Sound, which is on a lot of people's bucket list as well. So it lets them tick off that destination while getting in this multi-day comfortable walk. One thing I will mention about this, it is scheduled. So you do sacrifice that flexibility that we usually prioritize so highly for our clients. So
what that means is if suddenly there's a, oh, sorry, Joshua.
Okay.
What it means is if suddenly there's a really bad weather event and you can't get out there, you can't reschedule and that's it, it's gone. Whereas with the ones that we've got more control over, we can reschedule and we can select different areas and so on. So it's probably the best of the hut-to-huts, but it has its own risk as well, which we're not that comfortable with because things are out of our control.
Which again, if you're traveling in peak season in New Zealand and it does get cancelled for some weather event, you've got 2 nights without accommodation as well,
Yep.
which
Yep.
at peak time in New Zealand can lead to us using some, as a backup, having to lean on some pretty basic or not ideal locations or hotels for your clients, unless they have the budget to have booked a backup room in advance at a wonderful place.
So there's a question here, Jojo, which I don't know the answer to. Is how many days is this? It's the Hollyford, isn't it? How many days is it?
So the walking, it's 1 day into the first hut and then 1 day into the second hut. And then quite often people leave on day 3. So it's 2 nights, 3 days. Some
2
people
nights, 3 days.
2 days at that last hut.
Yep. And there are other people on the trek, but I think you have to accumulate when you jump on the jet boat at some point. So it is a bit groupy.
Yeah. They've got up to 16 people in a departure, so it's small groupy. It's not like hundreds, but it is definitely groupy. You're guided, so you're sort of with the guide in the group generally. Cool. And then the last and our favorite way to arrange hiking for you guys is with some of our favorite guides around the country. These are some of these amazing people we were talking about who wonderfully aren't very good at marketing, so haven't grown huge, still are owner operated. One of these guys just won a huge kayaking race in the United States and Canada. So really, really accomplished outdoors people. Who are out here taking our clients into their own personal backyards. They're able to be much more flexible. They mainly work with us. We've been building relationships with them for a really long time, and we're able to do some really, really cool stuff with them for your clients, whatever their level of fitness is, whatever they want to do out there in the backcountry. If they want to incorporate some kayaking, if they want to incorporate some helicopter, or if they just want to get picked up in a 4-wheel drive and driven out to an amazing location and walk for 10 hours. And again, you've got the option of staying in a rustic but comfortable location in the backcountry, in shared bunk rooms right next to a table. Or you've got the option to go back to your beautiful, beautiful lodge. And this is just another highlight and a client story on the sort of weather flexibility and the way we do it. So video and image is from a day that we arranged for a client. She was traveling with 3 friends, and she knew that she liked hiking a lot more than her friends, but when she was planning the trip, she originally decided, no, I'll just do the walking they want to. And then while traveling, she was starting to send us messages on the WhatsApp going, my friends only like half an hour flat walks on boardwalks. My friends like really boring hiking. My friends don't even like hiking. And so she wanted us to arrange some real walking for her. She had this 1-day gap. She was staying in Wanaka, which is where some of our amazing guides are. But the 1-day gap was a absolutely torrential rain day that she had. And we told her this, and we went, are you sure you want to go ahead and book it? You're going to get very, very wet. And she said, yes, as long as I get to see something beautiful. This area is usually known for huge weather hikes. This is what she saw. So usually you're looking for a huge view, but on a rainy day, pulled her out and saw all of these temporary waterfalls in this amazing basin. And that's a glacier off towards the end of that video. This picture here is actually the guide. The client didn't like to be photographed too much, but they were both pretty soaked by the end of it and very, very happy. We got amazing feedback on this day. So again, to drill that in, the flexibility is a really, really key component. We like to do a single day for this, and because of this, the long-standing relationships that we've built with these guides and the mutual respect that we hold with them, we're able to slip around a bit more, slip a day, and really curate the experience to make it much more what your client wants. Jean-Michel's smiling because he hates the word curate, and I just used it. Anything to add on that flexibility point, Jean-Michel?
Yeah, it's a general thing. When people come to New Zealand with us, we have a concierge team. So I often talk about it. It's a 3-person management level concierge team, and they're constantly running weather. Weather in this country can change really fast. So our clients will have certain days where the weather is critical, whether it's a helicopter trip or a hike or some rafting or whatever. And ahead of time, we are juggling and juggling. So when I say that I like our private options in terms of the hiking, I like ones which we can juggle. If you go into something a bit more formulaic, like the Hollyford multiple day one, you can't juggle that. You get a weather cancellation, that's it, it's gone. They won't change it because they've got more people backed up and more people backed up. So you can have people say, oh, I really want to do that, and it's going to be the highlight of my trip, and they can come all the way here, and then they can just not do it if things don't go right. Whereas if we're there understanding what sort of hiking they want. Oh, they want 2 days up in mountains, they want 1 day coastal, they want this, they want that. We can make sure they get it if we've got control of it by juggling. So by going with these formula-based options, you don't get that, and there's the possibility it's not going to happen. So I just wanted to really reinforce that. Sorry, Jojo, back to you. We should hurry up so we've got time for questions at the end as well.
Yeah, no, we're very, very close to the end as well. And the last thing I wanted to highlight as well is with these guides who have built these long-standing relationships with, somehow the clients always have the best possible day with these people and connect the best with these people over more corporate outfits. So they come and they talk about like, wow, Bob was incredible. Wow, we love Tom. Wow, Bard was just an amazing person. They're small owner-operated or very, very small team outfits with just the best people. Like they wouldn't hire me as a hiking guide. I'm not good enough for these level of people. So finally, this is our last slide, and this is just wrapping up into what we need to know to plan the right hikes for your clients. And the biggest one here is physical fitness. And ideally, we want some detail around this because, hey, we're very active, we're very fit, can mean very different things to very different people and very different things across cultures even. Here in New Zealand, we don't tend to call people very fit unless they're running marathons or doing something similar. So they go, oh, they're very fit. And we go, oh, amazing, let's send them up this mountain. And then it turns out they're capable of walking for 3 hours at a decent pace on uneven terrain, which is also fabulous. And we can do some amazing things with that, but we don't want to give them the wrong day for their fitness level. So it's really useful to know like what sort of walks they're normally doing, how long they normally walk for, what sort of elevation they're comfortable with, just drilling into the detail of that fitness. So this is the inputs that you can bring us from your clients that will really, really help us to make sure that we don't put them on the wrong walk. Any sort of injuries, a lot of people don't like to disclose their injuries because they're used to people going, oh, well, we don't take people with knee replacements, or we don't accept people who have had back surgery. We're not interested in telling people that they can't do anything, but I often encounter really amazingly fit people who have a dodgy knee, and there's a hike that I guide on, which we helicopter to the top of a mountain, then we walk down it. That's the wrong hike for these people. They're fit enough to be walking uphill for a really long time, but once you put them on a steady downhill gradient for 4 hours, they're going to be in pain by the end of it. So understanding what their actual personal physical limitations are will let us, send them walking up the mountain and then getting picked up by helicopters so they don't have to walk down it instead, and just making the right adjustments for these people on the day. Understanding their budget and if they're happy to get into helicopters, because that's how we get them into some of the most amazing backcountry. And if you're just doing some quick heli transfers, you can be talking quite affordable in this space. Sort of around or even less than $1,000 for a guided day experience if you're just going to shoot them in a helicopter. Once you add a scenic flight and you go around some pretty things, then you're getting a lot more hours in there and the price is climbing very, very quickly. And then if they want to overnight in the wilderness, if they like that disconnection from cell phone service, if they're okay with that loss of comfort, or if they want to go back to their glass of champagne and their feather mattress at the end of the day. Any specific interests, if they like big views, if they love forests. I've got somebody who I work with who is a bug expert. Like, it's so weird. She's out there every day, like with her camera, taking pictures of mold and like insects on the trails. And I've been out with her and it's amazing. You just see the world at a different granularity. And if somebody's got a like an inkling to be interested in that sort of thing, then it's good for us to know to get them out there. And also New Zealand is an amazing birding country. Not every guide knows every bird or can identify the bird calls. If you've got a client who's into birding, we need to know that so we can make sure that they're with a guide who actually knows a little bit more about the local birds than the client does. And lastly, if they want to get out there in just any weather, they just want to get out and see it, or if they want the flexibility built in to be able to wait for a good weather day. A lot of our weather moves through within the space of a few days. So if we know that a hike's a priority for somebody and that they want a big view and that they don't want to walk in the rain, we can build in more days staying in that region so that they're more likely to hit a really good day, as opposed to moving them through with just 2 to 3 nights staying there and not much time to slip and move these days around. And given this is the last slide, anything to add, Jean-Michel?
Nope.
No, thank you. Thank you very much, Josephine, for sharing your passion and sharing also your extended knowledge on hiking. So it was a pleasure. Jean-Michel, I saw that you already answered some of the questions. I know Nicole said hello from Santa Barbara, Laura, everyone hello from New Hampshire, Stephanie hello from Colorado, hi from Madrid, say Olga, thank you for joining us, even late for you. And then Caroline said, I was recently hiking with a friend of yours in Fiordland. Caroline led us. And I think, Jean-Michel, you answer the rest. Am I correct?
Yeah, there's one new one that's just come up. Do we have a US-based team? No, we are all about New Zealand. But what that means is that our concierge team is awake at the same time as our clients in country. Which we see as quite important. US comms are quite easy. Your afternoons, evenings are the same as our morning on the following day. So we've got like a half a day overlap. So the comms shouldn't be an issue with the States. We've got much more difficult comms with Europe. We've got a 12-hour difference there.
Yeah, so we're coming up to 9 a.m. on Thursday right now.
Payment link, yes, we've got. You can wire, but we've also got. Josephine, do you remember the name of that payment link?
Flywire.
Flywire, which I think a lot of people know Flywire. So you could do that from wherever you are. How many days average booking? No, you can't book the accommodations because in our experience, anytime someone else books something, that's what goes wrong. That's what falls short. And again, we don't have flexibility. So we're there trying to deliver an experience in this country for people, and it basically ties our hands and hobbles our feet together. So we need to have control over everything in order to deliver the best experience possible. And that is what I was talking about with hikes, but it's also the same with internal flights. It's the same with transfers. It's the same with everything. Also, we actually know the accommodation a lot better than anybody else. We do have a team of 13, and every member of staff gets a $3,000 a year allowance to get out and stay current. So we invest in actually knowing what's going on the ground, and there's a lot of accommodation which is promoted by what's meant to be ethical organizations, which we wouldn't touch with a barge pole because we know what's really going on there. Consult your amenities. Consortia, yeah, Virtuoso signature. Our clients, okay, let me find a quotation for you, just to show you the difference. Okay, damn, I don't know where it's gone. Okay, I haven't found that quotation. We had a client, a beautiful lady from the West Coast in the States, and she sent us a quotation which I'll poorly paraphrase. She said, John Michel, we'd like to thank you so much, and we're so pleased that we found you for our trip to New Zealand. We sit here having pre-dinner drinks at Hooker Lodge and at Matakauri, and we tell our fellow travelers about what we're doing, and they're incredibly envious because we seem to be with the cool guys and doing the cool stuff, whereas they all seem to be on some cookie cutter tour of New Zealand. So Hooker Lodge, we're one of their biggest bookers, and that would be in their top five. We only know that because they hosted their top five and we were there. So of course our clients get looked after by them. So this whole virtuoso signature, an extra bar of soap or a free drink, it's nothing. We've got it anyway. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And we've got better than that, much better than that, because it's not quantified what we do. So we are the real deal who is in with the real people, and we know what's really going on, rather than these clunky amenity things, which quite frankly annoy me.
And the last question, Jean-Michel, do you have Spanish speaking guide? Is asking Anna.
Yes, we do. There are quite a few people that have immigrated to New Zealand, so they're often native speakers. So we can usually find native speakers of most of the languages. Yes.
And Paige is asking, do you have a minimum budget you work with?
Yeah, but that's based upon what you can actually buy with your money. So for us, the minimum budget we would say is a 4-star bed and breakfast, coming in at about 600 New Zealand dollars. A rental car, add another 200, and a couple of simple activities. You come up to about 1,000 New Zealand dollars a day. So that's about 500-600 US a day for a couple. But that's really basic. As soon as you start moving into luxury, like a 5-star hotel, you're at about, for that hotel alone, you're about $700-800 and upwards. The top lodges, their pricing has gone through the roof since COVID. And up there, you're talking about 2,500 US dollars a day for those top lodges. So it really depends what people want, but we can start delivering service way down at that lower level. Minimum days of touring. Pre-COVID, we used to get 10 days, and it's really too short, because 10 days, these days, most people agree that you want 3 days per location. Otherwise, there's no point in going there. So you travel to the location on day one, you've got 2 full days of enjoying the location, and then the next day you're off. So when some people say 10 days, we get 3 locations. It's frustrating. So 2 weeks plus, brilliant. If some people are lucky enough to have 3 to 4 weeks, absolutely fantastic. We can get them into places where most people don't normally go. So, but the longer the better. We've had some lucky people on sabbaticals who have been here for 3 months, and we've done a different type of service for them, concierge support in an Airbnb that we've vetted for them, and so on. So we can do fairly much. We've got the capability to do pretty much anything out there. But I would say roughly, because people's expectations are always higher than their budget. So I would say, roughly 1,000 US a day per couple will start things rolling.
All right. Thank you very much. So I think,
What does Ahipara mean?
what does
Yeah.
Ahipara mean? Huh?
Oh, there's no short answers to any questions these days. It's a Maori name, a place up in the far north, and we came across it. We were led to it. It was a place. The name Ahi is fire, and Para is either a bay or a sanctuary. So it was the sanctuary of fire. Para is also the juices left on the stones of a campfire at the end of a feast. So it could mean the fire of plenty. But my favorite, deepest meaning, ahi ahika in Maori, the spark of life, and para, the sanctuary. So the sanctuary of the divine spark. We've got high ambitions here. We aim high, and we often actually meet them.
Yes, I know that. So I don't see any more question. I know we went a bit over time. Sorry about it, everyone. But I'm hoping everyone enjoyed the extensive knowledge and what was shared today. So thank you, Josephine. Thank you, Jean-Michel, and hope to see you soon. And as I know, you will be forwarding everyone the recording that I will send you shortly. Have a great day, everybody, and a great evening, or a great wherever you're located, or a great morning. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.